And right now, folks, we're going to talk to Teddy Kekstadt. We talk to Teddy every Wednesday at 40 past the hour. You can check out Teddy's outstanding Tiger Forex Report, folks. We got a lot going on in currencies right now in this market. Right under the newsletter tab at TFNN.com, folks. You can sign up for that. $97 comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You gain access to an archive webinar as well. Teddy Kekstadt, good morning.
Good morning, Tommy. One week till Fed week.
Do we have enough moving parts in this market, Teddy, to talk about, man? It seems like, boy, I don't even need to list them, right? We got the Fed, we got Davos, we got everything on there in terms of tariffs in focus. I wanted to kick it off with maybe the yen, if we could. A lot of headlines yesterday about the yields over in Japan. You've been talking about the yen. We were talking about it last week. What do you think about the yen and what's going on there? If we could start there, possibly.
Sure. Well, right now the U.S. dollar yen is up near its highs. It's been in a bull trend now for quite some time. I think it's getting kind of toppy, to be quite honest with you. I see us, over. I think right now is the high end from last week. Maybe not. I think there might be one more spike through resistance. But I would be very cautious. I think now you're getting set for a liquidity trap in a big way. So especially, right now you have yields that are pushing the highs at the highest they've been in a while, in front of a Fed meeting next week. So I would say that just between now and next Wednesday, you're probably going to see a contraction, meaning that the high point in yields probably spiked yesterday in the 10-year and the 30-year. Maybe you'll see another test of that before next week or sometime this week before next week. But I think pretty much you're topping out in yields. You're probably going to pull back in oil a little bit. If that scenario comes to light, I can see the yen getting back down to that 156 to like 155 half area at the very least by next week. You're probably going to settle into a range trade come next, Monday afternoon for sure, before we go into Wednesday, because there are expectations of Powell doing one more rate cut. And of course, if he doesn't, well, then yields will probably stay where they're at, and stuff like that. But I got a feeling that he is going to cut. You'll see a pullback in yields to some degree. Now, remember, if he doesn't, whether he does or doesn't cut, then we have 2 months before the following Fed meeting. So then the markets will be free to do whatever they want, pretty much, for before Powell has another chance. And then we still have, then we'll probably have a better idea of who his replacement's going to be as well.
Yeah. And what do you think about the dollar right now? I know you always do such a great job on this segment and within the Tiger Forex Report, breaking down those individual pairs. I'm always checking out that dollar index, though, under pressure a little bit. And if you think the yen might strengthen a bit, what do you think about the dollar in general? Or are you looking at just maybe individual pairings? I'm looking at 98.47 right now, that dollar index.
That's a great question. You know what? I think the dollar index is going to be a tough gauge for most of the currency pairs moving forward over the next couple of months. I'd be very cautious with it. I don't think you're going to see major strength or weakness in the dollar. You'll probably see more weakness in the dollar index over the next couple of months, but I would be very careful as to how it's going to get there and how deep it's going to fall. Right now, you do have a lot of strength in the Australian dollar, U.S. dollar trade. U.S. dollar Canada's all over the place, but you have a lot of swings intermittently. They're not exactly trending all with or, in the same way against the dollar or with it, what I'm saying, or if there's dollar strength, So we'll see how that really pans out after next week when we have a Fed, at least when we have an interest rate scenario that we can kind of hang on. That will help us, give us more direction. But I'd be very cautious with the index as far as a guide, just because, you have a lot of, there's a disconnect right now. You're not getting a lot of action so much. Like we had, Monday was a holiday. You can't really look at that for this week as far as volatility. But now you look at like yesterday and today, the euro and the pound aren't getting as much action as say like the Australian is. So your lesser pairs are starting to gain more momentum in this market moving forward over the next couple of months. So I think that's going to have a lot of disconnect, if you will. So I'd be very cautious with the dollar index.
That's quite an Aussie Australian dollar, US dollar chart, man, for sure. You talk about a trend, always interesting how you break down those pairs versus just looking at the dollar index. Yeah, that is quite a chart, man. You talk about a trend, right? Boy, even just in the last, since the November, from 64 up to 68 almost on that Aussie dollar, right?
Sure. Well, now you got to think about this too. What is one of the biggest things that Australia does as far as their economy? And they're an exporter of minerals, especially metals. So
Totally.
there's a lot of transactions are done in Australian dollar that are leaving that country. So that it gives that currency a lift. Now, if you look at the New Zealand dollar, that's had an explosion the last couple of days, but not quite like the Australian. The Australian is at the higher part of its trend. The New Zealand dollar is coming back. It's still below its highs if you go 6 months back. So I think that the New Zealand is not going to be as strong as the Aussie, and that's where you're going to get your disconnect. Whereas the Aussie may continue to make highs, New Zealand, it's barely making this high. It has a better chance of falling back or going into a range trade than the Australian does. You see what I'm saying? So in that sense, where the Dixie would gain strength from or have weakness from the Australian dollar trade, but not so much. New Zealand's not going to help influence that so much. Okay, and then you'll have something where, say, let's say that the U.S. dollar yen stays at its highs, while the other ones are going the other way. So that's another thing that's holding the dollar index up, if you will, in that situation. Yeah. So that's where I'm talking about the disconnect. You can see it in the chart patterns, especially with the volatility, right? I mean, there's the move in Australian dollar was quite significant between Monday, Tuesday, and today, without any major news going on in Australia.
Yeah, it's quite a move, quite a chart, and boy, that New Zealand dollar, you got some serious two-way action in that in terms of, well below still where we were just in July last year versus the Aussie dollar. Hey, what do you think about metals? I got to ask the question, man. Things are going a little wild in that gold and silver market. We're getting headlines, of course, this morning. But as a currency trader, what do you think about gold and silver at these levels? Please.
I think it's a derivatives run-up. I mean, it's gone so parabolic that it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. So
Teddy,
I gotta
thank you so much for letting me know that I'm not taking crazy pills, because I agree with you, man. No, and hey, credit to those that have been holding, folks. It's been like this, but it's at some level, and you got a lot of volume, man. But I don't know if you were listening to me before, just kind of saying, things are right. We have quite the, and I don't know, it's not a perfect storm, but headline-wise, it kind of is, right? You got the Fed, you got Greenland, you got yields, you have, and metals are just like skyrocketing every day. So I appreciate your insight, man.
You know what really worries me the most about the metals? Real quick,
I feel for you Bears fans, but thank you for so much joy on watching some of those games, man. I feel for you, but I think you Bears fans got some good future, man. Caleb Williams, that was a tough game, of course. Sure. But boy, that was some good football, and you guys got a team for the future, man. I think you do. I know it's tough in the moment, but I think you do, man.
I hope so. Be careful with the metals, though, guys, because too many people that I know are now buying the physicals who never do that kind of stuff. That's when it gets dangerous.
Great insight, Teddy. Appreciate the information, putting it out there for the listeners, man. Always enjoy the segment. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Take care.
Take care. Folks, we're coming right back. Stay tuned.